Here are some more of the strangest things that Florida man does. Wait until you find out the life lesson one Florida man gave a bunch of kids at a playground. Number 14, change of heart. Florida man Anthony Ballard somehow, someway, successfully stole a chainsaw from a hardware store by sticking the chainsaw down his pants and running out of the store. No, employees weren't actually sleeping on the job, because when they saw Ballard run out with a $600 chainsaw down his pants, they actually chased after him. But Ballard, a Florida man who obviously thinks 2 steps ahead, tossed the chainsaw into the woods before getting away. We did say he thought 2 steps ahead, right? Because he came back after just 40 minutes to get the chainsaw. Unfortunately for Ballard, 28 employees knew the chainsaw had been tossed into the woods. When they saw him snooping around for it, they called the police. Why didn't employees just go get it themselves? Because they knew he'd go back for it? According to the police report, Ballard said he was actually getting the chainsaw to return it to the store, because of course he had a change of heart about stealing the chainsaw. If you're loving these stories about Florida man so far, do us a favor and hit that thumbs up. Number 13, a bag disguise. Florida man Kerry Hammond decided to rob a GameStop, except he decided to do it while wearing clear plastic wrap as a mask. How does that help in any way, shape, or form in a robbery? He just wrapped the plastic around his head to disguise his ears? It didn't even cover the front of his face. Of course, it didn't take long for police to track Hammond down, since his, let's just call it, unique disguise was completely seen through. Even the police were laughing about it on their Facebook page when they posted the surveillance video so the public could help track him down. Number 12, don't scroll left. If you're gonna prove your innocence to police with a video, just make sure the same video doesn't prove you're guilty of something else. This Florida man was so dumb, he traded in a lesser charge for a more serious charge accidentally. Xavier Moran was involved in a car crash, one that supposedly wasn't his fault. He had told the sheriff's deputy that he had been cut off by another driver, and that's why the accident happened. Moran told police that he could prove the other driver was at fault because his dash cam was on. So he handed over the memory card from his dashboard camera. He then signed a consent waiver for police to search the camera. When the Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputy reviewed the footage, he reviewed all the footage. And he watched Moran rob a beauty store. The video showed Moran taking a baseball bat from his trunk and using it to break the glass door of a store. He then proceeded to go inside and rob it. Who forgets that that's on film? Well, the good news is, he was right. The car accident wasn't his fault. Number 11, ATM assault. Florida man Michael Alexic cost $5,000 in damages to an ATM back in 2017. Why? It's quiz time. Was it because A, the ATM looked at him wrong? Or was it B, because he was trying to steal money from the machine? Or was it C, because the machine gave him too much money? Or was it D, because he was trying to take the entire machine home? If you chose A, you're right in that Florida man is crazy, but that's not why he beat up the ATM. The correct answer is C, because the ATM gave Alexic too much money. Some people dream of an ATM spitting out extra money, but not this guy. Alexic reportedly called the bank to apologize and said he punched the ATM because he was angry that the ATM was giving him too much money. He didn't know what to do because he was in a rush to get to work. Bank officials did note that Alexic sounded very apologetic for the damage he caused, but they decided to press charges anyways after they realized the extent of the damages. Do you think he should have even bothered calling the bank? Number 10, tase me, bro. Florida man Chris Haynes was in a hurry to catch a plane. Well, he was in a hurry to catch a plane, and he was only wearing his underwear. Haynes sped through Tallahassee Regional Airport's main entrance and left his vehicle unattended in the drop-off loading zone. Of course, the officer who spotted him tried to stop him as soon as he pulled up, but Haynes just shouted that he had a plane to catch. He ran towards the TSA checkpoint and completely ignored the officer. So unfortunately for him, the officer decided to tase him in order to stop him. Haynes ended up uninjured, and surprise, he actually didn't have a plane to catch after all. Haynes actually told police that he knew that the officer who was chasing him would probably eventually tase him. He added, quote, "I kinda always wanted to be tased." So basically he pulled this stunt just so he could get tased? By the way, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next Florida Man video. Number 9. Karate practice. Do you practice karate on live animals? Of course you don't. You're a completely sane human being and not a psychopath. Too bad we can't say the same for this Florida man. Rocco Joseph Montella was found practicing karate on swans at a park in Orlando. One witness said Montella kicked 2 swans in the head and another in its butt. Apparently the kicks were strong enough to knock the swans over. Seriously, what's wrong with this dude? The same witness said Montella also kicked a small duck that appeared to have been just minding its own business sleeping. Come on, Florida man, I know you have a heart somewhere. Another witness said that they saw Montella chasing a swan, and when Montella saw his reaction, he just laughed and continued going after animals throughout the park. Thankfully, police finally arrived at the scene and arrested him, ending his karate session, but not fast enough. Number 8. Fake doctor. In 2016, then 18-year-old Malachi Love Robinson wanted to open his own medical practice. However, this Florida man child wasn't exactly Doogie Howser, and he definitely didn't go to med school. He was arrested for posing as a licensed doctor. He went as far as opening his own West Palm Beach offices. An undercover agent posed as a patient at his clinic to seek advice as part of a sting operation. Love Robinson actually performed a physical exam and offered his supposed medical expertise. Of course, he was quickly arrested and booked for practicing medicine without a license. The craziest thing? This wasn't the first time he was arrested for this. The Palm Beach County Department of Health had previously investigated and charged him with the same scam back in 2015. How'd he get out of jail so quickly? Don't you think there should be more serious charges for pretending to be a doctor? Number 7. Bingo! Who knew that pettiness has no age? 82-year-old Florida man Fred Smith got so mad over a woman taking his favorite seat at his local bingo game that he decided to slash her tires. Police said that he took an ice pick to the 88-year-old Ethel Britt's van during their weekly bingo game. Apparently, Smith stormed out of the bingo hall and punctured 2 of Britt's tires just because she was sitting in a chair he usually sits in. Smith was easily caught by police because he was caught in the act on surveillance video. Police said that Smith admitted to doing the crime and actually was regretful about what he did. Smith faces having to pay $500 in tire damage and restitution back to Britt. Amazingly enough, when asked about the incident, Britt said that she wasn't mad and harbored no ill will towards Smith. All she wanted were some new tires. But who was more petty? Fred Smith or the guy who wrote the political messages on the crabs in our first Florida Man video? Be sure to check out that story if you haven't heard it. Number 6. Not just change. Florida man Shane Mell stole a bunch of coins from a strip mall office. Approximately $350,000 worth of rare coins. And what did Mell end up doing with them? He just cashed them in at Coinstar machines all over Palm Beach. The owner of the coins, Michael Johnson, said that Mell easily had dumped at least $33,000 worth of coins into just one of the Coinstar machines. Johnson said he inherited a large coin collection from his father around 6 years ago. And after Mell got his hands on them, they're mostly gone. Apparently there's a bit of backstory, because Johnson actually knew Mell for a few years through mutual friends. Johnson had employed Mell to help Mell out. However, Mell said that Johnson deserved what happened because he had owed him money. This is a classic he said, she said. But Mell was of course arrested and charged for the theft. Whatever the story, dropping extremely valuable coins through a change machine just to get a few bucks definitely qualifies for extremely Florida man. Number 5. Florida man's church. Technically, this isn't about a Florida man, but really a Florida building. One Florida church in Panama City lost its tax-exempt status in 2015 because apparently it operated like a nightclub. Police had long suspected that activities at the church, called the Tabernacle, weren't church-like at all. The event that caught the attention of the police was called Amnesia. Amnesia had been hosting slumber party Sundays, and its organizers advertised that it has, quote, sexiest ladies on the beach. They're not exactly shy in their promotional videos. Organizers claimed that the $20 taken from each patron at the door is actually a donation, and that no alcoholic drinks are served. Does this sound right to you? Also, the pastor of the church is a guy named Marcus Bishop. He's someone who has had some run-ins with the law for, let's just call it, illegal substances. According to the organizers, Amnesia is an event where young people can go for some fun during spring break in a safe environment up to 5 in the morning. Yep, sounds like everything is perfectly normal here. Number 4. Pole position. Florida men Blake Waller and Victor Appler apparently didn't think that having a giant light pole on the top of their car was gonna attract much attention. Trying to steal a downed pole because of a hurricane is definitely illegal, just in case you didn't know. An officer overheard the scanner that 2 shirtless men were loading a light pole on top of their car. The officer then noticed that a light pole was missing from an area on top of the bridge close to him, and saw a car driving with the light pole on its roof. Talk about being at the right place at the right time. So he pulled them over and asked them questions. Thinking quickly, Appler told the police that he was moving the pole because it was blocking traffic. That's actually not a bad explanation. However, this probably wasn't the officer's first pole-stealing rodeo, because he quickly checked a pawn shop database and found that Appler had over 70 scrap metal-related transactions that year. For what it's worth, the pole was valued at $2,500, so it kinda made sense why these Florida men did it. But come on, nobody actually owns a light pole. Number 3. Pancakes. Florida man Kyron Thomas was arrested back in 2017 for sitting in the middle of a crosswalk and eating pancakes on a Tuesday morning. Why? Our question is, why not? It's Florida we're talking about. The Lakeland Police Department received a call around that Tuesday morning with news that a shirtless man was sitting on a chair with a small TV table eating pancakes right in the middle of a crosswalk. The police decided to do something about it and showed up at the scene. However, by that point, Thomas was already gone. But thanks to the powers of the internet, they were able to find Thomas chilling at home. Someone had posted the video of him eating on Facebook, and police were able to figure out where he lived. We're gonna guess it's because it's not the first time Thomas has dealt with police before. He told police it was just a prank, but there's definitely no joke to him getting arrested. Number 2, where babies come from. Would you want a Florida man telling your kids about the birds and the bees? Of course not. A police officer watched Florida man Otis Ryan climb on top of a piece of playground equipment and start telling kids where babies come from. Of course, parents rushed to get their kids away from the busy playground and probably put earmuffs on the kids so they couldn't hear what this guy was saying. So why were the police out there anyways? Well, Ryan most likely wanted to sort of start his own fight club, because police were actually called out earlier that same day when Ryan was found making inappropriate comments to women in an effort to get their boyfriends to fight him. Not sure what you guys think, but judging from this Florida man's mugshot, he most likely would be the type to shank someone for fun. Number 1, Back to the Future. A Florida man crashed his Dodge Challenger into the storefront of Advanced Tax Services in Pensacola. So why'd he do it? The unidentified driver told police that he was trying to time travel. Oh, it was Back to the Future time for this Florida man. Fortunately for him, he wasn't injured at all. Unfortunately for him, he might have already had a pre-existing injury to his brain. Police had the same idea because they took him to the hospital to be evaluated. Thankfully, the business was empty at the time when the driver was trying to copy Marty McFly from Back to the Future. Watch this next video about millionaire playboys who may just be as crazy as Florida Man, except they have a lot of money.